Special meeting of the Christiansburg Town Council to order. There are several items to discuss. First of all, there is no customer or no public hearing, no customer or citizen input. This is all dealing with budgetary items and a few appointments. The first item up is proposed water fee increases for the fiscal year 2016-2017, effective July 1, 2016, in accordance with the Code of Virginia 15.2-2119 and 15.2-928. The public hearing was held on May 24th, 2016. Is there a motion?
Make a motion we adopt the fees as presented, and we're working our way towards a solvent program, but we're still subsidizing the utilities. But this is a step in that direction, and I think it's warranted. And I'll make a motion that we approve the nominal fee increases as presented.
I'll second that.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Only that we were passing along what we're already paying more. It's not as,
It's a pass along.
That's exactly
We're not
right.
trying to make any more money.
not at all.
All right, Madam Substitute Clerk. Incidentally, Amber Beasley's filling in tonight.
Okie dokie. All right, I'm doing a poll, right?
Yes.
Okay, Councilman Bishop,
Aye.
Councilman Collins,
Aye.
Councilman Hall,
Aye.
Councilman Huppert,
Aye.
Councilman Showalter,
Aye.
and Councilman Stipes.
Aye.
It is 6-0. Thank you. Ordinance amending Chapter 36 Utilities of the Christiansburg Town Code in regard to establishing a stormwater utility and system of stormwater utility fees. The public hearing was held May the 24th, 2016. And I think, Mr. Nelson, you have something to add to this? Or Barry?
Yes, we need to make one change, small change to section 36-305, stormwater utility fee credits and exemptions. Paragraph B, the last sentence, strike that, credit shall not be issued retroactively. That will be addressed in the credit manual that we will bring forward to council at the next meeting to pass the resolution, and the credit issue will be discussed in the manual and handled there.
Okay. Is there anything else, Mr. Helms?
The other thing is it's not legal to do a reduced fee for elderly and
I requested information.
Yeah.
That was the
right, I remember that.
the Solinger came, and I thought it was an interesting idea to be sensitive to that segment of the population. But I
If it's not
appreciate-
legal, it's not legal.
Right, but that's a
I'm
good-
glad we found out it wasn't legal.
Yes, sir. That was my response. I have a question for Mr. Nelson about what he just presented. When I did read this earlier today, actually, the credit system, because even today I've received an email from a significant property owner that has some apartment complexes. And the maximum, the actual credit program is not in the ordinance. It refers to it and says it's available on the town website. The maximum credit is a third, is that right? What's the maximum credit?
35%.
Yeah, 35%.
Quality.
If the maximum relief they could get up to 35% discount for controlling stormwater on site, for taking those measures to reduce stormwater runoff.
Provided they meet our criteria.
No, I understand. Yes, sir. Okay, thank you.
May I ask one question to Mr. Nelson on that?
Let's do the, okay, yeah, go ahead.
Wait,
Then we'll get-
on the-
go ahead.
And I was just going to ask because it's come up in some questions, and I'm not intelligent enough to be able to really discuss this. We understand it, but there's specific engineering, and the impervious. If you look at the residential rates and the non-residential tiered rates, so I'm looking at pretty much the last page of what was presented and what was in the packet. That would be effective July 1. Impervious area up to 60/60. That's considered a tier 1, which would be everything that or less than 60/60 would be a tier 1. If you could just tell me maybe the methodology behind including the impervious area up to 60/60 and not there being something even smaller than that. And that's the only question I have, because that's been brought up to me.
The reason for the 60/60 is to try to equate it, normalize that to residential, trying to address the fairness issue. If you had a home that had 6,000 square foot home, you would pay $6. Likewise, within that tier, you would pay $6.
So and the reason I'd ask this, so if you had like I said, a mansion, pretty much 6,000 square feet home, but then you have someone who has maybe I think one of the things that was brought to us, maybe like a townhome, or someone who had a very small single-family residence, maybe 800 square feet with a driveway, so maybe there's impervious of 1,600 square feet, perhaps, something like that or less. There was a specific reason cited as to why we didn't want to have a smaller tier and have a fee less than $6 for those particular plots. I want to say maybe it was administrative fees, administrative costs. I can't remember, and trying to do that. If you could just explain that very briefly to us.
We wanted to create a fee that was kind of consistent locally here, but also everybody focuses on the size of a townhome versus the size of a McMansion. But when you take into account all of the streets we maintain for water quantity and quality, our ditches, our storm drain system, our creeks, all of our public property that we own, you factor all that in my view, it kind of normalizes everything. Everybody uses the streets every day, and it's we kind of look at it collectively.
And thank you for that explanation again. And I'm not questioning why we don't have a tier 1/2. I was just looking to make sure we.
John wants to add something.
Yeah, just quickly, if we start looking at residential and grouping them up, then our GIS guy is looking at all 7,500 residential properties and would have to determine exactly how many square feet there are, determine if they're in that small.
Well, there's your administrative costs that would go through the roof, correct?
Hire a new person to do.
And that's the whole reason I wanted to ask that question. Again, it's not to say we need to have a tier 1/2 or a tier 0.4 or whatever, but was to get that methodology, certainly while it's on the record tonight, because that's a question I think has come up to some of us in the recent weeks. But thank you all very much for that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. All right. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Just thank you.
Amber?
Okay. Councilman Bishop.
Aye.
Councilman Collins.
Aye.
Councilman Hall.
Aye.
Councilman Hubbard. Councilman Showalter.
Aye.
Councilman Stipes.
Aye. That would be 6-0. Thank you. Proposed annual budget fiscal year 2016-2017. We have a budget presented after we've made several adjustments, additions, and changes that will have a net income or a positive balance of $10,096 for 2016-2017.
I would move that we approve the annual budget fiscal year 2016-2017 with those revisions and that fund balance allocation as presented.
I'll second it.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I do. I got a question. Mayor, it's, I believe it's an organization you're sitting on that you brought for our community support. So I wonder if you could tell us a little bit more about the Alliance for Better Child Care. It's something I'm not really fluent on.
Well,
what its goal is, or
It is a group, and it is a vast group. And there is the towns and counties, all of the Virginia Tech, Bradford University, several industries. What they're trying to do is they are trying to develop an organization that can help in the schooling, in the training, in the recruitment of workers for child care facilities. This is the first time it's come out, and I told them at the meeting, I'll give you 1 year to see where you are to fund it. They've asked for $13,000 from us, 13 from Montgomery County, and 13 from the town of Blacksburg for this year. And I told them we needed to see results before we come back next year if they request more funds.
now, it's a heavily privatized industry. Is this going to end up with our community subsidizing these organizations?
No.
These private organizations.
That is not part of the agreement or the understanding I have of that board, is that they're not going to come back and say, okay, Town of Christiansburg, you're on board, so you need to pay $25 a week for every child in Christiansburg child support. No. This is to get them started, to operate on a $140,000 a year budget, which includes the salary of an administrator at about 60 to 70. And that administrator's job is to be out and to raise funds for for subsequent years and subsequent things. Virginia Tech Foundation is on it. Dr. Sands is on the board. The Radford University has a representative. The president of the community college is on it. There's several. I mean, it's about an 18-member board. And that was the one thing.
The other public entities that funded it too, right? Montgomery County, what I remember from our discussion.
Well, Blacksburg is funded, Montgomery County has yet to fund it.
I talked to Chris today, and he is, assuming we fund it, they'll fund it.
I just want, is the end result going to be more of an education for these child care owners and how to operate your business? It's not going towards us subsidizing child care, because Christiansburg is the blue collar, the worker of the valley.
And that's been
Our
discussed.
citizens. And if anybody needs it, we do. We do, but we got to tread lightly, because these are all. There's no government entity that runs
Right.
child care. It's all private individuals. And the minute we step into that, that's huge.
Well, and that's what Chris asked me today, and that is not my understanding of this particular board. That's why I have asked this year to fund it, to help them get started. If they deem down the road, or I deem down the road, that they are going to come back to us and ask for additional for funding other than the municipal contribution toward paying, no, I'll step off the board.
Is the end result just education, or to know what's out there, what's going on? Because
Well,
obviously that's what they'll develop.
It is probably some better training, and probably some working with some of the child care facilities, plus identifying spots that need additional facilities that could be opened up and staffed. But that's one of the problems with child care now, is getting the good qualified workers. And this is one year that we want to give it a whirl, and if I'm not satisfied with it, I won't come back with anything else.
I appreciate it.
And that is a recognized 501c3 organization.
Yes. It just founded this year, but yeah, they are recognized. Do we have a motion in a second, or we still got any other discussions? Madam Clerk, would you poll the council on the 16-17 budget?
Sure. Councilman Bishop? Councilman Collins?
Aye.
Councilman Hall?
Aye.
Councilman Huppert? Councilman Showalter?
Aye.
Councilman Stipes?
Aye. Okay. Steve, was that a no vote?
No, I said aye.
Okay, I just could, 6-0, thank you very much. Next item on the agenda, and Madam Treasurer, you will provide us with
Oh, yeah.
you'll provide us and tell us what we actually did tonight, right?
Yeah, whole new document.
Okay, thank you. Update on the new park and ride.
The last meeting was asked to have a quick update on the park and ride. This is
You can read.
site plan for the new park and ride with almost 300 parking spaces, a bus loop, and another 2 bus loops, and stormwater facilities. The current park and ride is out here. Once this is developed, this is built, there'll be 2 out parcels, one here and one over here next to Roanoke Street, one on each side of the road coming into the park and ride. So, that's, go ahead.
Is there any public accommodation, restrooms, shelters?
Now, it's
anything
park
like
and ride, they do not build public accommodation.
Will the police have an office there of any type? Does state police have any kind of office there?
No, it's just a parking lot with shelters for buses. They
That's not
have
next.
spoke with the,
Their bus shelter.
bus shelter.
But that's not next to the school.
Yeah, it's not next to school.
That's right.
Were there 2 of them?
3. I mean, that's something.
The 2 out parcels, Mr. Woody will own those, and
Put the red dot on that if you would.
out parcels,
Yeah, Roger Woody's spot.
I don't mind.
this part right here and this part right here. You want
This
this
is the
point?
existing parking right here, okay? See that hatched area? That's what you can see out there today. What you can see really underway right now is this big pond here. It's a bioretention facility, it's very complex, but you can see this is taking shape right here. And then another thing you can see from the road is the out parcel here that VDOT came to terms with Mr. Woody over. It has silt fence around it, and you can start to see the shape of the pad, the shape and the size of the pad. That's what you can see from the road, and you can actually pull in the parking ride and sort of look at that. But I think the major features on here, this thing is a major parking ride.
It's massive.
It's going to have 3 sawtooth pull-offs for the megabus, so it can be able to serve 3 separate bus systems at the same time. This is called a teardrop, but it's going to be a pull-around, and these sawtooth pull-offs are each going to have bus shelters. It has bike racks, bike lockers. If you've ever seen a bike locker, there's 15 bike lockers out here. And then the bulk of the parking is back here. There are 270 spaces back there, so it's 4 times what's out there today.
And while you're up there, while you're performing the banner, would you show us where the school is? That's the most.
That's the exit right there.
No, I know. I'm saying that's what I was saying, and that right there was so wonderful. That had there were so many people that were behind this. Everybody from eventually like the former sheriff of Witt. I mean, we had so many people who had again went to the forefront on trying to get that parking ride moved, and this is fantastic.
Do you have sheet 4 up there, Barry?
It's great.
Sheet 4.
Yeah,
Do you have sheet 4?
I've said this a couple times with that. It's more than a parking ride, folks. It's a bus stop. We learned that at Fallen Branch.
Yeah.
And unless we have some plan put together to get those people across Roanoke Road to Country Cooking or someplace, either down to the Old Hills Plaza, it's going to be a mess.
Well, that's where our Backways and Walkways committee.
Or we work with the county and VDOT to put some, either it's a general bathroom like what's on the Huckleberry, or
I just don't want to see porta potties
because
out
in
there.
reality, Brad, I agree with you. There's parking rides are great, but it's going to be used as a bus stop. That has been established. That's our
They don't
experience.
have, no other facility, we're not getting the short end of the stick. There's no other parking ride in the state that has facilities. Well, I want to show you here real quick.
I agree
On
with you,
Roanoke
but there's
Street.
nothing there.
Yeah, you'll see a right turn lane into it. This is the existing parking ride right here again. And then see right turn lane, and then the out parcel here that will be developed. And this will ultimately be developed too, because once the project is complete, then Mr. Woody also will take ownership of that. And this likely will be developed commercially as well.
Yeah.
So-
He hasn't committed himself yet at all, has he?
Well, VDOT and Mr. Woody have come to terms, but the condition is the parcels have conveyed to him, but VDOT has a temporary construction easement across both of them until they're done.
That's right.
And when they pull out, then those two will,
And upon development of commercial, we have ordinance that requires the sidewalks and things of that sort that are.
right,
That's right.
right. So
What do you
that,
think?
And he's in general agreement to have maybe
oh, it'll be done
share,
in summer.
have an area
A
for
year.
Yes.
15
visitor center or
That'd be
something
great.
like
That
that.
would be great.
That's something we're
If-
looking at.
Depending on what goes in there, if the hotel goes in there, he's willing to work with us.
To have a
To pull
visitor
one.
center, a
To
restroom.
have a visitor center, restrooms or something to the public, depending on what's built. I mean, it might be a gas station, a convenience store, gas station open
Which would be
24
perfect.
hours.
That would be perfect.
That's right.
It'll be next fall.
That's all, okay.
And just to clarify, he owned all the land down there, almost everything that they're building parking right on. And he already owned that parcel there. So basically, I don't know all the details, but he's getting this parcel here for all that land down there, basically.
Okay.
It was a very, well, and I
There
was,
might be money exchange, I don't know, but basically that's what's happening. He's
Well, it's going to certainly make that property more valuable along the road.
well, it is, but everybody won on that.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
We all win out.
Instead of the parking ride starting right there and no commercial or anything, it could have started right there next to Roanoke Street and went back. Now we're going to get a commercial lot in front, so.
Sorry for
there'll still be
stepping up, but
taxes.
I know a
And he
little bit.
could have not worked with VDOT. I mean, he could have done that. And
Yeah.
Put everybody through the process. It would.
It's an ideal location for the parking ride.
That's great vision on his.
Okay, any
I
other,
just wanted to thank you guys for doing this for me. I really didn't know all the ins and outs, and I appreciate it.
All right, very good. Item number 3 is appointment to the River Valley Regional Commission for the rotating member. That is it needs to be an elected official for 2 years. I think we discussed it at the last council meeting, and Mr. Collins volunteered to fill that position. What we need is a vote from council tonight so I can release the letter.
Do you have to have a motion?
Yes.
I'll so move that Mr. Collins be appointed to the River Valley Regional Commission.
Second.
Okay. Certainly, there's no discussion because nobody else wants to do it.
If you look at a current member, that's not.
It's a great involvement. Councilman Showalter and I
It
both
is.
served on this.
Yeah, that is a 2-year term, and then at the end of 2 years, it will move to somebody else, some other elected official from another organization. Madam Clerk?
Councilman Bishop. Councilman Collins.
Aye.
Councilman Hall.
Aye.
Councilman Hubbard.
Aye.
Councilman Showalter.
Aye.
Councilman Stipes.
Aye.
It would be 6-0. Under 3A is, I don't know whether I had this on here or not. I have added 3A, which is the appointment of Hill Johnson to the Regional Commission for a 3-year term.
So moved.
Second.
He will be replacing Mr. Weaver. Okay. Got a motion and a second? Any discussions?
I tell you, he'll do a good job.
I think so.
He's a good person.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Madam Clerk?
Rick Poll. All right. Councilman Bishop. Councilman Collins.
Aye.
Councilman Hall.
Aye.
Councilman Hubbard.
Aye.
Councilman Showalter.
Aye.
Councilman Stipes.
Aye.
Very good. Next on the agenda is recommend the appointment to Montgomery Regional Economic Development Commission, Brad Snipes. Mrs. Carter has held that position for 8 or 10 years, and they meet across the street from Brad's office. So I had thought about a couple others, and then when I found out exactly where they were, I asked Brad if he would have an interest in it, and he was pretty quick to jump back. Plus, he's got some experience in economic developments and things. So,
Also move that we appoint Brad Stipes as our representative to the Montgomery Regional Economic Development Commission.
Second.
get a motion in a couple of seconds.
One discussion point. Ms. Carter, again, has given a lot of service to the town, and she did an excellent job, I think, as our representative there for many, many years. I know Brad will as well, but I hope Ms. Carter can still stay involved with our town and our committees and things.
She don't want to leave the
No,
cemetery.
she's an invaluable resource that this town has had for a long time.
She's still on the cemetery committee.
Yes, she is.
Yeah. Madam Clerk?
Councilman Bishop. Councilman Collins.
Aye.
Councilman Hall.
Aye.
Councilman Hubbard.
Aye.
Councilman Showalter.
Aye.
Councilman Stipes.
Will I vote or abstain?
Go ahead yourself.
Yeah.
Yes, are you willing to take it?
We had on the agenda the contract renewal with Radford City for Aquatic Center. And Barry, we've taken that off
Taken that off.
because
They had modified the one you passed at the last meeting a little bit. And when I told them we were going to take it back to council, which the agenda was already completed by that time, they said, never mind, we'll use the one you had. They just changed the wording and format some. And
they did a lot of whereases and what fors.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
No more money, huh?
no, it's all,
And I was at the meetings away last time, but Sam had asked for that contract, and I know we all had a chance to review it. It's a fantastic contract. So not an issue at all, so I'm glad it was all approved.
Okay. Council reports. Mr. Collins.
I don't have anything for a change.
Very good. Mr. Bishop.
I don't have anything.
Mr. Hall.
Well, I didn't get to talk last time, last Tuesday.
Guys, I promised you 7:30, but I think this one out the window.
I've got some really good news I wanted to share with you all. Another one, thank you all for being very appreciative. Ms. Squires was here last time and was able to talk about the Safe Sleep Initiative for Children. That's very important, just like what Mr. Mayor, you were talking about with the Alliance. There's a lot of things that our community is involved in with supporting our kids, and we can never do enough, but I think we're on the forefront doing what we can. Some interesting news for the town. Brad Epperly of the Recreation Department decided he would enter us into a sweepstakes, apparently over a month or two ago, and he won. And
$3 million?
Well, not quite $3 million. But what he did win, he had to present something showing how we were going to utilize some equipment, and they drew him and figured out that town would benefit from it. It's about what, $30,000 to $40,000 worth.
80.
I'm sorry, 80,000.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Look at me. I'm an underminer. $80,000 worth of playground equipment for children. All we have to do basically is put the footers, and that's a pretty good trade-off considering we're probably going to spend about $2,000 to get $80,000. But it's just again one little thing, just by him sending the paragraphs in and submitting what he needed to submit, that the town's going to benefit in the amount of $80,000. So I guess we're really not sure where it's going to go yet, but that's a good problem to have, I believe.
He's looking at possible locations.
And it's $80,000. That's a really nice piece of
Do we have to
equipment.
spend it this year?
I think it has to be put in probably this next fiscal year.
Has to be put in by September, end of September, I believe. One of the sites he's looking at is down on John Lemu Lane. There's a
Oh,
park
down
down
by the
there,
wayside.
and there's almost no recreation
There's
facilities
none.
on that end of town. So
We've always talked about those small pocket parks. That's fantastic. That's great. And there's a lot of kids down there too. And then the last thing is I just want to say how much I thoroughly enjoyed the budget process with each of you this year. Look forward to that again next year. That's all I have.
We should get that on record.
Yeah, I read
it.
I grabbed his arm once. He had a knife going toward his wrist, but so I saved him. Okay, Mr. Stokes?
Nothing to report.
Henry?
I do have a request that I'd like for the rec commission to look into and then come back to council. As you know, Blue Demon Cross Country Camp, they did just a soul camp only for the kids. It's very inexpensive compared to some of the camps that are around through various universities. It's very successful. It's more of a team building exercise rather than a conditioning. But we got to talking, and I know that our park is either a couple years away or a long time away, especially when we've put it on phase one. But I'd like for the rec commission to discuss a temporary use for a new cross-country course on our property, if we just to see the pros and cons to it. One of the big things is basically just trimming the grass and putting up flags, but it was mentioned by Coach Porter, who we all met a few months ago, is that regions, VHSL is looking for a new region.
What a great idea.
Yeah.
Well, I think
and this brings many schools in for an overnight. And if we can use that to our benefit for the delay, but it takes planning and it takes approval. So it's one of those things that they would want to have regions here more than once. It'd be several years in a row. So that's one of the things I would like for the commission to discuss, along with the administration, the legalities of it. And it's a perfect place for usage like that to bring people to our community.
I think one of the things we have to be careful of, that farm, that land is leased
Yeah,
to
year to
someone with the cattle.
it's
on-
year to year.
It's year-to-year lease, but, you know.
So this is a different location or the same location they got the course right now?
No, the course is at Christianburg Elementary,
I know,
but they'll never hold regions there.
No, it's
I mean, I'd
my
run
daughter
that.
ran there, and what he's talking about is similar to what you see over Smithfield.
Oh, okay.
So
Oh,
you go out
yeah.
to where
Yeah, I
you can-
like that.
That's what he's talking about.
Because that one
very
course
nice.
right there at the two schools, that course is hell.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Right. But it would, for the
Yeah,
influx
good.
of
That's great.
funds
That's
and
great.
use of property that we already have,
Yeah.
I mean, that, regions is huge.
Yeah,
It's not an
that's good.
invitational, it's a regional meeting.
That's a great idea.
Mr. Tupper?
I've always enjoyed talking the budget with Cord and Henry
And Sam and
Hey, I know the rest of you guys are jealous. Steve mentioned us by name.
and it keeps me young. No, my point here is the museum, and they had the big Crooked Road Mountains of Music this past weekend, and the weather was great, and it was a good turnout. Don't you think so, Mike?
I think it was, you know,
I'll leave it up to you, Mike. I'll leave it to you now.
so you passing?
I'll pass it to you.
You're done. No coming back. Okay. I thought I was pleased. I was a little disappointed at first that I had hoped there would be like 500, 600, 700,000 people there, but not 100,000. 500, 600, 700 to 1,000 people there. But there was probably 350, and I talked to Jack Hinchelwood, who is with the the Crooked Road Foundation and awarded this to us, he was ecstatic. He said, I have other events like this in other towns, and he said, you know, the big signature events, and we don't get 50 people there. So he was pleased with the turnout. I think that I had a few issues with the advertising for it that I'll work with the museum and the sponsors a little bit better next year. But anyhow, that's.
If we had a sign up, one of the flashing.
I ain't getting there, brother. I ain't getting there, brother. But now, that's not a digital, but we could always have those banner signs that we put up in front of the courthouse and down here.
That's right.
So we need to do a little bit more of that, I think. Guys, the budget process is the budget process. It is what it is. It's what I like about it, I think, at this point, and I think I'm right on saying this, we can argue like cats and dogs in there, but when we come out of the meeting and it's all done, we're all back to the...
We'll sleep better this evening, I do believe.
Yeah, sure.
I will.
Henry's first year as chairman was, I'm sure, interesting for him, educational for him. Brad has been a mainstay on that committee for several years, and I don't have any plans on changing that committee next year. So I appreciate your efforts, because I think we had 2 or 3 work sessions. You all had 6 sessions.
Had a bunch.
And they came back to us with a recommended budget, and it was tweaked around a little bit. And I think the net difference on it from what we really started at to where we ended up now was like $700, $800, because it was first presented $9,700. We tweaked things around, took things out, put things back in, kicked the can around the building 3 times, and came back with a positive of $10,096. So it was good. I appreciate the department heads, Mr. Helms. I appreciate your final run at it. It was good.
He appreciates his final run at it as well.
Now, the other thing that I would like to discuss tonight is do you know, Barry, whether we have a work session scheduled for next Tuesday night before the council meeting on the 28th?
No, we don't have any scheduled as far as I know.
We had talked about an exit interview with Barry, and I wonder if we could get a work session, or a work session that night, 5:30. Is that's on Tuesday night?
That's a great idea.
I'm not big on a new meeting, but I would very much like Mr. Helms. I think that an exit interview would be outstanding.
We talked about that for years. About doing that.
And that's a good time.
No.
I think the word was we can't wait to get him out of here so we can roast him.
I didn't mean that. I mean, we talked about how valuable that would be.
We talk about that each year, haven't we?
So if that is okay,
In my mouth tonight.
have that as a, I don't know whether you want to have, I don't know whether we can close the meeting or not.
That's what I'd like to check on.
I'd like to have a closed town council meeting first.
I'll check with Jim.
And just see what it takes. I said it is a personnel issue.
Yeah.
And that's the 28th.
Yes.
It's not at the 28th,
Barry might
5:30.
have some choice words for some on this board.
Town manager, so the 28th and 5:30 is good with you all at this point. And Barry, you will check with, I will tell you all, I know that some of you are not able to be in town this weekend, but Barry's retirement reception is Saturday from 2 to 5 at the Rescue Squad building. I think Friday at around 2 at the Aquatic Center. Have they told you about that, or we're just going to
Yes,
keep
it's on my
cupcakes and laugh
calendar.
at you?
Dessert.
It's a dessert reception for Barry Friday around 2-ish. Is that it?
It's on my calendar.
Yeah, it's. I know. I think it's between 2 and 3 because there's some other event at 3. But if there will be a chance to come out at that point.
And I can't, Barry, I can't be here this Saturday. I would be there, certainly, but this is the 4th week of an 11 weekends for girls softball where I'm out of town coaching, but we would be there. And And we'll be thinking of you, and again, we're all going to miss you, but I'll obviously be able to hear you yell at me on next Tuesday, apparently. So,
We get final shots at him next Tuesday night.
yeah, that's right.
So the
Okay.
new town manager start,
July 1.
your last day is next Thursday?
Yes.
So he'll start.
And then
He
Mr.
starts
Bates
Friday.
starts on Friday, no overlap. Is that what we decided? There's no overlap?
But just kind of the way the schedule works. I think Steve is going to be in town. He's going to start moving in here the 27th, and I really think he will be down some,
Well,
talking to
And
him
I'll be in
probably.
town.
we just haven't had an
The meeting
update on that. I was wondering what the.
Yeah,
Actually-
and he's been getting a lot of information back and forth from Randy since since he got back to Carolina after we hired him. So that he's been looking at a lot of things, and at least I think he's coming on board well studied of where we are.
Right.
So he's good. Manager's report.
I don't have anything to add, sir.
Very good, thank you. That being said, I'm going to adjourn the meeting.
7:30.
Clearly made it. My